It's the summer of 2012, and a man walks down the hallway of a Marriott hotel in Phoenix, Arizona. Wearing a black sports coat and baseball cap, he approaches one of the rooms. He knocks. There is no answer. He pulls out his sunglasses case from his pocket and opens it, revealing a mess of wires and circuitry. He stares at the keycard lock. But this man doesn't have a keycard. In fact, he's not even staying at the hotel. Instead, he grabs a plug connected to his sunglasses case and inserts it into the small port on the bottom of the lock. The lock retracts, and a green light above the door handle welcomes the man inside. He enters the room shocked and ultimately underprepared. Above the dresser sits a luxury TV, but he lacks the proper equipment to remove it. He takes a stack of towels and pillows and heads out of the room, down the stairwell and out of a side exit to his car, where he quickly drives off. This marked the beginning of an insane crime spree that spanned 78 hotels over the next year, all started by one man who was able to exploit an obscure software bug in popular hotel locks. This is the story of Aaron Cashatt, the hotel room hacker. This video is inspired by the incredible article by Andy Greenberg. I highly recommend you give it a read. A few weeks before the first heist, a 24-year-old security researcher named Cody Brocious is working on reverse engineering locks created by the company Onity in order to create a competing system for a small startup. While he is doing this, he discovers something alarming. On every keycard lock, there is a small port on the bottom to allow hotel staff to insert a device that the company called a portable programmer. This device was able to see what keys had unlocked the lock, and most importantly, act as a master key themselves. While this itself is not a glaring security issue, the part that Cody discovers is. He discovers that the key that triggers the command to unlock these locks is stored inside the lock itself, not in the portable programmers. With just $50, one could pick up an Arduino board, some resistors, a battery, and a DC power plug, and build their own portable programmer. They could then insert it into the port of any Onity lock, retrieve the key from the lock, and unlock it in a matter of seconds. It was a $50 skeleton key to millions of hotel rooms across America. Cody decided to go head-to-head with Onity, going public with this information at the Black Hat Hacker Conference in Las Vegas, and publishing the code required to create one of these portable programmers on his personal website. His hope was that this would lead to change, and that Onity would roll out a fix to their locks. This, however, did not happen. There is no firmware upgrade. Instead, the locks would have to be manually replaced one by one, and Onity refused to pay. And so, instead of helping keep millions of hotel rooms safe and secure, Cody had unknowingly propped the front door open for any criminal to enter. Someone such as Aaron Cashatt. From an early age, Aaron is tech savvy, taking apart phones and drawing blueprints of his living room forts. But a turbulent childhood sends him down the wrong path, doing drugs and committing petty crimes. At the age of only 22, he is sent to prison for the first time for making fake checks and IDs with a laser printer, something that would be a precursor to his future endeavors. In prison, he takes computer classes and learns how to build computers. 2 years later, he gets out and continues tinkering with computers and building other technical devices. However, this would not last long. He was arrested once again for drug possession and drunk driving. A few years later, he was once again released. This time, he was required to install a breathalyzer in his car to confirm that he was sober before driving. However, Aaron was not interested in following these rules, and through a quick Google search was able to bypass the machine's sensors using alligator clips. He would disable the breathalyzer every weekend, go out drinking, and then reconnect it on Monday. This plan worked until one night he gets pulled over. Once again, he is charged and back in prison for 5 months. After his time in prison, a court unexpectedly dismisses the charge, and Aaron is given a second chance at life. Now 33 years old, Aaron Cashatt comes home from his job waiting tables at a high-end Mexican restaurant. He has been clean for the past 10 months since release, and his life was slowly turning around. As he approaches his door, he is greeted by a letter in the mailbox. The letter was from the court informing him that he was being charged with a felony with a minimum sentence of 6.5 years. He was being charged for a combination of the recent DUI and all the previous offenses that he had committed. Devastated, Cashat falls back into a life of crime, and he decides to double down. That same month, Cashat is watching TV when he sees an ABC News segment covering the Onity hotel keycard hack. If they're going to send me to prison again, I'm going to deserve it. Through a simple YouTube tutorial and Brocious' own website, Aaron had all the knowledge required to build his own personal portable programmer. He went to Radio Shack, purchasing an Arduino board, some resistors, and wiring, and assembled the device in only a few hours. After opening his first door at a nearby Marriott, Cashat started working on perfecting his new device. In its final form, it was still hidden in the same Oakley sunglasses case that hung around his neck. However, now it featured a plug that emerged and retracted from the zipper on one end, and a power button for the device hidden in the O in the Oakley logo. This device had been far upgraded from the likes that Brocious had built, and was about to be used to terrorize hotels in the area. Only a week after his first heist, Aaron returned to the same hotel with a screwdriver in hand. Using his new device, he gained access to the room and unbolted the 37-inch flat-screen TV from the dresser. This was his first big win utilizing this method, one which he would repeat in the following days, with several other unoccupied rooms at different hotels. He was now working with a partner whom he would draw from an ever-changing group of friends. The pair would arrive at a hotel during the day to knock on doors to find out which room occupants had left for the day. Once inside, they would steal all the guests' possessions and place them into accompanying suitcases, then calmly wheel the fortunes out of a back exit. To disguise himself from the cameras, he put on his trademark uniform, a short white wig and a white fedora. In combination, he wears gloves to avoid fingerprints and steals and switches license plates to make sure his car was never tracked. While Aaron was having fun, his court date for his DUI loomed and was fast approaching. He knew he had only one option: skip town. And so he drove out to Ohio to lay low at his friend's house. One evening, as he and his friends were exploding fireworks in his neighbor's front yard, the cops show up and arrested Aaron for possession of meth that was found at the scene. He was sent back to Arizona, handcuffed in the back row of an American Airlines flight. And for another point in his life, he was back in jail. Luckily for Cashat, they had not linked him to the hotel break-ins, and he was soon released to embark on his crimes once again. With nothing to hold him back and a group of friends to support his crimes, Aaron Cashat would ramp up his crime spree and take it to the next level. For the next 4 months, he robbed hotels at a dizzying pace, sometimes as many as 4 in a single day. Holiday Inn, Days Inn, Hilton, Hampton, Marriott, you name it, he robbed it. He had refined his system and was committing these thefts at breakneck speeds, and the process was scarily simple. Before stepping foot into a hotel, Aaron would look for Onity locks on their outside doors to ensure that they were a vulnerable target. After confirming, he would enter wearing his white fedora, the Oakley case hanging from around his neck. He would head to the guest floor and find a housekeeper's cart, where he could then get access to the room list to see which rooms were occupied. Then he would head to one of the rooms on the list and knock on the door. If someone answered, they moved to the next. If not, then it was showtime. However, this system had some growing pains. One time, a guest had returned from their room while Cashat was mid-robbery, forcing him to jump from a second-story window to escape. Another time, a man came out of his bathroom while Cashat and his partner were still pillaging the room. In a moment of desperation, Cashat and his friend greeted the man with open arms, in a last-ditch effort to convince the man that they were let in by a friend. Surprisingly, it worked. They chatted for a bit and then quickly fled, only just evading capture. Around a month later, during a routine heist, Aaron approaches a hotel room with his device in hand. As he goes to insert the device into the lock's port, he isn't met with the usual feeling. Instead, there is something blocking the port. As it turns out, Onity had finally started taking the security breach seriously and had issued a sort of bandage to fix the problem. This came in the form of a plastic plug to cover up the port on the locks. While initially a deterrent to Cashat, he was determined to get past this block. Drilling out the plugs with the Dremel was unsuccessful, and so was melting them with a soldering iron. But eventually, he was able to find out that the front cover on the locks could be opened using the T10 Torx screwdriver. This allowed him to open the front cover, remove the plug, and use his device as usual. That same day, his crime spree returned. By early 2013, Cashat's once impenetrable schemes were starting to fall apart. Cashat was preparing for a round of burglaries in Lake Havasu. He was in a parking lot unscrewing the license plate to a car. Suddenly, he hears a woman shout. It's the owner of the car. He throws the license plate in his car and speeds off. The woman is left in shock and calls the police, who quickly trail Cashat back to the hotel he was staying at. Cashat managed to escape, climbing over a fence and jumping into a ravine. But his partner wasn't so lucky. He was arrested and brought the cops back to their hotel room, where they confiscated one of Cashat's hotel hacking devices. Further rubbing salt into the wounds, the police obtained a warrant for Cashat's entire Facebook communication history. To say the least, he was not shy about mentioning the crimes. In one conversation, he sent articles of the robberies to his friend, following up with, "Yeah, you get addicted to it. It's a sick adrenaline rush. And you have all kinds of when you're done." Further incriminating himself, he sent a photo of himself behind a bed covered in laptops, phones, and iPads. Lastly, one final nail in the coffin, he had posted photos with his girlfriend where he was wearing his infamous white fedora, one that had been seen in security footage from hotel rooms around the country. Things were getting dire, and in a last-ditch effort to avoid the ever-increasing police presence, Cashat fled to his mother's house in Farmington, California. But this wasn't enough for him. He wanted to get further away from prosecution. He wanted to go to Canada, where he could stay with one of his friends. The only problem was that he lacked a passport, and feared that if he attempted to apply for one, he would be arrested. So he turned to his family, and one of his younger brothers agreed to apply for him. And so, with hope that this would be his way out, Cashat drove to his brother's house in Stockton, California. One quiet morning at his brother's house, at least 10 police cars pull up his driveway. Merely seconds after, they storm the house. The agents find Cashat's brother first and slam him to the floor. This gave Cashat time to flee out a bathroom window across the back of the house. He ran across the lawn and started to climb the back fence. He had done it. The elusive hotel room hacker had escaped once again. Or so he thought. It was all over for Cashat. There was nowhere else for him to run. He was arrested and is currently serving out a 9-year sentence. To this day, Cashat is adamant that the security issue remains unfixed. The author of the Wired article that I based this video off of, Andy Greenberg, actually created his own portable programmer, and was successful 1 out of 3 times he tried it. So next time you check into your hotel room, just know how easy it is for someone like Aaron Cashat to come in and take everything.
Be out in the wilderness, or will it be homegrown?